This is what I wanted out of Hobbs and Shaw. Why did no? You see, a lot of Bollywood movies ended up coming to Springfield when I lived there, but I didn't really have time to see a lot of them because a lot of them are very, very long, and I just didn't really have the time to go see. It kind of worked out that I had time to go see this movie, War. I saw it yesterday before Joker. I had a lot of time to kill before Joker, and it was either kind of just sit around the house and be bored or go see this movie War and so not be bored. So why didn't anyone? If I had known there were a lot of movies like this, I maybe would have gone to see a lot more of these in Springfield. This is the first time I've really reviewed one of these, I think, on this show. I mean, unless you count the Cinema Snob episode on Bollywood Friday the 13th or the least of these. I don't know if that counts really, but why did no one tell me that the spirit of Pierre Kirby movies is alive and well in these Hindi action movies? I had no idea that you can still go to the theater to see some old school style Van Dammage in the form of Hindi or Bollywood cinema. I would have gone to see so many more of these movies because I gotta tell you, this movie at 2.5 hours long, it gives you your money's worth on this movie. Like, this is the kind of movie where in slow motion you just see a plane crash and up through the flames comes our hero on a motorcycle with his flowing, perfect hair, muscles, and shades. This is the type of movie where the two guys are driving at each other in motorcycles, full speed at motorcycles. One goes to punch the other grabs the arm, which then causes slow motion circles stare down with dueling fists and motorcycles. I gotta say, this is my kind of movie. Now, if you really want to get into the story of this movie, I was wondering before, like jokingly in my head before I went to go see this, I was like, oh, wait, is it like a Bollywood remake of War, the Jason Statham Jet Li movie? And I don't know if it is, but you can make the argument that it is because there are similar plot points that happen in both movies. I don't know if that's a coincidence. I've not seen anything written really about this being any kind of remake necessarily. And not even that it's like the same thing from point A to point B happening. It's just there are some similarities. The plot of the movie is these two Indian soldiers. One is played by Tiger Shroff, the other one, Hrithik Roshan. Pardon me if I'm mispronouncing any of this. So they are what Hrithik Roshan is a mentor to Tiger Shroff. And when the movie opens, Rathan has gone rogue. Like, he mentored Tiger Shroff at a younger age, or not younger, like 5 years prior to where this movie's taking place. And so this squad is brought together to try to find him and bring him in because they think that he's turned enemy and is killing different people that's on their side. Now that's the plot of the movie. You just go into it just that's really all you need to know about the plot. And not even that the movie's thin as far as plot goes. You're just gonna want to be surprised by a lot of things that happen in this film. Because I love this movie. Now, this is a movie that, again, it's got all these like 80s, 90s action exploitation stuff happening. Again, like I said, like a Godfrey Ho movie on a much bigger budget. And then something will happen in the movie, like a woman's about to be stoned by ISIS, and then our hero shoots the guy who's about to stone them in the head. Then he's taken captive by ISIS. You get a armored jeep crashing through war-torn wall with Gatling gun, just shooting all of these guys down. They save the day. There's bodies, blood going everywhere. How do they celebrate this? Dance number. Oh, that's right. In case you forget where this movie's from, dance number. Oh, there is. Right like moments after the almost stoning of this woman, Bollywood dance number. And it's to celebrate this victory that they had in like killing all of these terrorists. The dance number ends with them getting the phone call to go on their next mission. And then it gets like halfway into this movie, and then it says below, it doesn't say intermission, but it says like interval, I think, or something like that. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, are they doing an intermission? Like maybe that's. I don't go see a lot of these movies, and I know a lot of them are long. So I'm like, okay, well maybe these have intermissions. That's nice if it does. Not really. So what happens is another movie happens for sort of. We then cut to Hrithik Roshan talking to a young girl as his character from the movie, who's this young girl's playing soccer, and he's there on the soccer field to like to give her advice about like teamwork and being a hero and being a winner, and no one can you can do good, but no one's gonna be number one forever necessarily. So then it's like turning into like a GI Joe PSA sort of halfway into the movie. And I thought that was kind of going to be it. Like it was just going to be like this short PSA that happens to be halfway into this movie. But no, for like a half hour, it turns into a love story with him and the girl's mom. This plays in to the main plot of the movie. It keeps going with him and his relationship with the girl and the relationship with her mom, who is then used to go undercover on this mission. And there's a lot of flashbacks in the movie where you find out what certain characters' motivations are, who is good, who isn't, what was actually the context of certain scenes, what was the motivation behind certain scenes. So all this stuff you are seeing with him giving advice to this girl about soccer, this like love story with the mom. You need to see this because it plays in to the larger plot line of this movie. You got to see this movie, people. Like, and this is moments beforehand. There's a scene where he creates magnet gloves to jump out of a smaller plane onto a much larger plane with magnet gloves so he can again land on the other plane safely, go inside of it with his magnet gloves, fight a bunch of people, and basically surf a jeep down out of the plane when it falls out of like the cargo hold on the plane. It's so good. This is the movie that like I think people picture in their head when they think of Mission Impossible 2. This is like the better version of like Mission Impossible 2. This is like Mission Impossible 2 meets the buddy eroticism of Top Gun, because there's a lot of ripped shirts and like longing gazes between the characters in this film. Really, the love story is between our two heroes of the film. You combine all of that with yeah, they do magnet gloves in the Mission Impossible movies as well, and that you can kind of tell the movie sort of being a takeoff of the Mission Impossible movies. Some of the soundtrack of the film has a little bit of a sound alike to the Mission Impossible music in some scenes. When I was at the other theater that I used to go to all the time in Springfield, like the arcade game that they had there for like 12, 13 years, ever since it opened, was Time Crisis 3. Now that I've moved up here, it makes sense that I have essentially moved here to go to a movie that is Time Crisis the movie. Oh, and it also is a step up because the arcade that I go see movies now has Time Crisis 4. So in more than a decade, hopefully there'll be another like Time Crisis game that I could play at a new theater. Do I recommend this movie? Well, you just have to, after everything I've told you, you have to think, is this the is this simply a great action movie of the year or the greatest action movie of the year? I am The dudes in this movie, like, I'm a fan for life of these guys. These guys are cool. They do the action scenes well. When Tiger Shroff is introduced into the movie, he goes flying through a window that he's kicked in. He seems to have just flown in via kick into this window, takes out these drug dealers, and I think wipes out all drug dealing in India. And that's just the character introduction. So I recommend this movie. I had way more fun at this than I did at Hobbs and Shaw. And Hobbs and Shaw I liked fine. I just got kind of exhausted of it after a while. This is the movie you want. Like from like Hobbs and Shaw. This is the movie. I've seen a lot of people say that they really want to see Mission Impossible 2 because it's known for being over the top. But really, when you watch that, a lot of the over the top stuff in there you can kind of get from the trailer, and it's really just sort of in the last act of the movie. The movie's sort of more dull than people kind of remember. Not this. This is the movie. Like I said, this is the movie people picture in their head when they think Mission Impossible 2, and it works. It totally works. Please see this movie. Please go see this movie. I think it is playing at a lot of theaters, so it might, yeah, Hrithik Roshan, like the chat's pointing it out too. I'm a fan for life of this guy. He's great in this movie. He's awesome. He's cool. He's got a cool voice, a cool look. He handles the action scenes perfectly. He's great as this character. I gotta see more of this stuff, man. I gotta keep my eye more so on these kinds of movies. So, all right. David, I recommend this. Please take time. The movie's long. It's 2.5 hours. Please go see this. Please go see this movie. You'll have a blast. All right. Subscribe to us at youtube.com/Stoned Gremlin Productions. Follow us on Twitter at The Cinema Snob. Follow us on Instagram at The Cinema Snob. And if you want to see the whole uncut version of this particular show, subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/The Cinema Snob, where you can see the Q&A session, more back and forths with the talking to the chat, just kind of shooting the breeze. And we'll see you next week with Gemini Man and the Addams Family. So see you soon.